Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Good to spend some time talking to you about you and your business as usual. I have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to get straight into it. And delighted to have the publisher of John Hardy Publishing on the phone today. And Dino Price, no relation, but a good friend. Good to talk to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning. We might be related, strange cousin somewhere.
Yeah, my dad always said if you have the same last name, you're related. It's just a question of figuring out how. But tell us a little bit about John Hardy Publishing.
We are a Texas publisher. We've been around, founded in 1996 by John Hardy. He had a small publishing house over in Marathon, Texas, moved to Alpine with a bookstore, and then on to Houston. He landed in Houston, I think, the year 2000, something like that. I'm publishing Texas stories, Texas authors, true nonfiction biographies, a couple of novels, literary novels that took off really well. Publishing authors like Mike Nichols or Robert Waller, to name a few.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got a great book out right now. Talk a little bit about that.
We have two of them. One is Tony Busby's Defining Moments, actually written by Michael Lee Lanning. Michael Lee Lanning is a prolific biographer from Texas A&M. However, he spent 30 years in the Army as a colonel in the infantry, but then picking up a second career as a biographer. Wrote a biography about Tony Busby. If you're not familiar with Tony Busby, he's probably the most successful plaintiff lawyer in North America. Recently bought one of the most expensive houses in River Oaks, I believe, not too long ago. He's the one guy who sued British Petroleum and Ford and GM for absolute billions of dollars. It's just huge.
Yeah, he's a fascinating guy. And it's a fascinating story. And for those who are interested in the political currency, talk a little bit about that.
Well, he's representing Governor Perry. Governor Perry was sued, and I can't remember who's the guy who sued him, but for abuse of power when he fired that young lawyer from their special legal division. Quite frankly, I don't know the particulars around the case, but Tony Busby picked up the hammer for Governor Perry and defended him, and evidently he's defending him quite well, throwing everything out of the complaint. I'm not sure how far along they are in the process at the moment, but everybody has. They're pretty convinced that the complaint itself is baseless and meritless, and it's going to be eventually just tossed out completely.
Yeah, you got to love that. That's good. Tell us about the other book that you currently have out there. You have several. You've got dozens of books, but we're talking about the most recent for 2015.
Yeah, the other one was from David Heyman. He's the one that caused kind of a stir between the city of Austin and Houston. He wrote a book called My Beautiful City, Austin, which was kind of a tongue-in-cheek from an architecture standpoint, why Austin is being built completely wrong, without respect to, I guess, the flow of people, of traffic, of nature. And so he wrote 7 stories. They're fictional stories about things that are just being built wrong in Austin. And it's a funny book. It's an adult fiction. There's some adult situations, but it's a funny book. But he caused a stir. A lot of Austinites, they took offense to the book, and of course, Gail over at the Houston Chronicle loved the book. She wrote a nice little piece about it. And there was another lady, Miss Gray over at the Houston Chronicle, wrote a nice little piece about the book and telling Austin just basically to grow up. And of course, that kind of created a little struggle between Austin and Houston for several months there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, when did that come out, by the way?
The Austin book was, it's November. Actually, it came out in November of last year. Tony Busby came out in December of last year.
Yeah, very good. And I want to mention, just for disclaimer's sake, but also not just for disclaimer's sake, but for information's sake, that I'm almost halfway through with a book on why Texas has become such an attractive place for doing business, and that should be completed by the end of the summer or early fall for you guys, and looking forward to that.
That's going to be our first one bestseller. Well, that's going to be our second best. Our first one was Robert Waller, but you are going to be the first one that I've put out.
There you go.
Put out John Hardy himself, before John Hardy passed away. you are going to be my first bestseller. I can feel it.
Oh, good. I appreciate that. I believe that too. And it's an interesting account and kind of contrarian, and looks at some things that I don't think are looked at in conventional economic books. And I think it has kind of a flair of Freakonomics in it, looking consequentially at what happens, in terms of policy and action and that type of thing. So it's a lot of fun. Tell me about why you believe John Hardy Publishing is important and why it's special out there in the publishing landscape.
There's a loss of Texas history and Texas literature, and it's a devastating loss. Most publishers, the publishing houses in Texas are more or less gone. They folded or got sucked up by Harper or Penguin or Scribner. They've basically been gone, and so the interest in publishing Texas literature has gone away as well. So to capture, the Texas voice, to capture the Texas author, as well as Texas history itself, it needs to be preserved, and it's just not being done. You can ask just about any journalist, editor, or publisher out there in the street, they'll tell you the same thing, that Texas literature is being lost and Texas history is going by the wayside. And what we're at John Hardy trying to do, we're somewhat successful. We're preserving that voice and that literature genre.
What I think is important about that is that, Texas itself has got such a unique culture of its own. This is a nation that was a nation before it was a state. And so I think that it is unique, that it deserves its own unique emphasis and literature. I love that expression. All right, what's the website for people to get more information?
That's johnhardypublishing.com.
johnhardypublishing.com. Make sure you check it out. And we're going to get your Bugsby author on one of these days, aren't we?
Oh, I hope so. Michael Lanning, he's out of town right now, out of state right now. Should be back in a couple of weeks.
Well, we should work on that, too. And we're going to be getting you back on to talk about a great organization that's making a difference in our community. And we'll have more information about that when we get closer to it. But for now, thanks so much, Dino Price.
Thank you very much, and have a good day.
You too. When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here does show up over there at usdatareview.com. While they're like it on Facebook, follow it on Twitter.